Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the Tea and Possibilities podcast, a podcast all about knitting, crochet and making all the things, coming to you this week from Edinburgh. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at hippie_Nikki. I'm Nikki Hippie on Ravelry, and if you search for Tea and Possibilities under the groups tab, you will find our group right there. As always, the show notes of everything I mentioned will be on my blog, and you can find links to everything I've just mentioned below. Before we dive in, as always, I want to say a massive thank you to my returning viewers. Thank you so much for coming back. I hope you have a cup of tea with you. And to any new viewers, thank you so much for giving me a shot. Just to let you know, we're not usually in Edinburgh. This is quite a one-off. As you know, I came to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and as we have an Airbnb rather than a usual bed and breakfast, we decided that I could probably get up early today, which is Sunday, and do a little bit of filming before we head out to enjoy our very last day here in Edinburgh. So there is no tea this week. We are completely out of milk and bread, actually, and eggs, and all the things you kind of need, but there's no point getting when you're going home tomorrow. And I've got some really lovely teas to share with you later in the episode, but I didn't want to crack into them now. I wanted to really savour them because they're quite new to me. So there is no tea this week, guys. So yeah, we're failing on the tea front, but there will be tea later in the episode. Before we dive into Whipped Up, I just want to let you know that there will not be an episode next week or the week after. Next week we are going down to Portsmouth to pack all of our stuff and start cleaning out our flat. And the following week we will be doing the move and finishing cleaning out the flat. So unfortunately there just won't be any time to podcast. It's going to be a slightly frantic couple of weekends, but then I will be right back at the beginning of April with lots to share with you. So, as you can imagine, this is going to be a slightly different episode. I don't have any show notes with me. This has been done kind of at the last minute. We were like, oh, well, we've got the camera, we've got some time, let's just do this. So, yeah, I don't have show notes, so I hope you don't miss anything. And I thought I would do Whipped Up just to show you what I've been working on while I've been here in Edinburgh. And then I thought we'd move on to Knit and Natter to let you know what I got up to in Edinburgh. And we did lots and lots of filming while we've been here, so there should be lots to share with you. Right, let's move straight on to Whipped Up. I was pretty distraught to realise when we were packing that I couldn't bring all the projects that I wanted to. You may remember that I wanted to bring my Cozy Memories blanket. It just wouldn't fit in the suitcase. I decided to put all of my knitting projects into my suitcase rather than my hand luggage because I figured it's only an hour's flight, I can read for an hour rather than knit, and I don't really want anything to be taken away from me. I had checked the rules and it was going to be okay, but I just thought, you know what, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth the risk. And they wouldn't fit in my suitcase. Bearing in mind, I had to make sure there was plenty of room for what I was bringing back. So yeah, no Cozy Memories, which is a real shame because I would have loved to have had a few squares that were from, that were made in Edinburgh. But there will be some squares that will be from Edinburgh because I'm sure I'm going to have lots of leftovers from the goodies that I bought. The main thing I have been working on, look at my sock! Isn't it amazing? I'm so chuffed with this. There's like a whole leg. I've almost finished the leg. And I've been working on this pretty exclusively. I've had it in my bag. I knit it up on Arthur's seat. I've got a picture of that on my Instagram. And I've just had it kind of around here and there. I'm working on it in the evenings and I love it. I love sock knitting. I'm a convert. I love magic loop. I just love it. I can't wait to knit the second one and have a pair and wear them and knit a second pair so I can really nail down my own personal sock recipe. As I said before, I'm using Higher 2.5 needles on magic loop, and the yarn is Louisa Harding Amitola, which is a wool silk blend, which I just had kicking around, had no plans for, and thought, why not? I believe the colourway is called Biscuit, which is what I've been calling them anyway because they are chocolatey, biscuity loveliness. And I've tried them on. They're a little bit snug, but that's fine. I think it's just they're mostly snug here where I was quite fierce with my tension, and then here they fit fine where I really thought about loosening it up, and now I'm kind of naturally knitting at a looser gauge, which is really good. So yeah, I'm really, really happy about that. I could only fit one more project into my suitcase. I could have fitted more, but as I said, I was kind of calculating for what would be coming back with me. And of course I brought my Cornish Lily Pilly. And I have to say this hasn't got as much work as my sock, but you can see there's quite a chunk there. I'm just over halfway on the garter section, so I'm going to work on that today and probably on the train back into London from the airport tomorrow. And I'm probably just going to work on this until I get the garter done so I can get onto the lace section, because as you know, I won't be podcasting for a couple of weeks and I'd really love to have some established lace to show you when I come back. That's using the Lily Pilly pattern by Amber O'Brien, and I had the colours custom dyed by Amy of Stranded Dye Works. So yeah, knitting content fairly minimal this week, but that is because I have been having the most wonderful week. It's been I can't wait to tell you all about it. So let's move straight on to knit and natter. I'll take you what I did day by day because that's probably the easiest way for me to remember it. We came to Edinburgh on Wednesday. We flew up, which was really, really quick and easy. I don't do well on long train journeys, and also it was cheaper to fly. So yeah, that's why we did that. We had a fairly chilled day on Wednesday. We popped out to the shops to stock up the kitchen a little bit and went to the pub to have a couple of drinks, and then we came back, put our feet up, watched a really good film, which was Denial with Timothy Spall and Rachel Weisz, and had a really lovely home cooked meal, which is the beauty of Airbnb actually. We got an Airbnb knowing it'd be slightly more expensive than a bed and breakfast, but thinking that it would be in the long term slightly cheaper because we wouldn't have to eat out for most of our meals. So that's been really good. I would thoroughly recommend that. On Thursday we decided to explore the city. The sun was shining, it was actually really warm. I went out in my big grey duffel coat and was boiling before we got halfway into town. It was just so warm. And we had a couple of places that we wanted to check out. It was tea for me and whiskey for Rich. First stop was an amazing tea shop called Pecco Tea in Tollcross, and I cannot recommend this place highly enough. I think I mentioned it to several people at EYF. It was just amazing. It's very, very small, and I'm really sorry I didn't get any film when I was in there. I was just so fascinated. I loved it so much. It was brilliant. It's, as I say, it's quite small, but there are a couple of little tables there, and all around the walls is all different teas. And the idea is you can sit and you can order a pot before you buy, so you can try before you buy, which is really lovely. They also do really good coffee, which coming from me is high praise indeed, because I do not like coffee at all. But Rich ordered himself a cup of coffee and it was absolutely delicious. I really enjoyed it. If I'd known it was going to be that good, I probably would have bought a bag myself. But it wasn't until we were halfway down the road away from the shop that I was like, that coffee was actually really good. But I went in and there was a really incredibly knowledgeable guy there whose name I can't remember, which is really terrible, sorry. And I basically went in and said, I love tea, I'm kind of in a bit of a rut, I have my favourites, I drink a lot of them, and I'm kind of just looking to expand that a little bit. And his first questions were, what do you like and what do you not like? And then he took me over to the green tea section. And I do love green tea, but I pretty much only drink green tea, which is, Twinings or, whatever one I happen to pick up at the supermarket. So I was really keen to try something a bit different. And I've ended up with 2 brand new to me teas to try. So this is the tea element of this week's podcast. The first one that I went for is the, and I'm probably going to mangle this, so I'm really sorry, Kukicha, which is a Japanese green tea. So a little bit about Kukicha, and I'll take it from the back so that I get my facts right. It's made from the stalks of the tea leaves, and it's lighter than the regular sencha, so it's an easy first time green tea try. It's quite refreshing, and it recommends that you drink it in the afternoon to re-energise. And the stalks, which it is made from, contain a lot of amino acids, which accounts for a sweet flavour. So I'm quite looking forward to that, because green tea, I wouldn't say it's bitter, but I would never have called it sweet either. So I'm quite looking forward to trying that one. I haven't actually opened these yet, because I just thought transporting them back open might be a bit of a risk. Second one I went for was White Monkey, partly because of the name, I do admit, which is a Chinese green tea. So I've got a Chinese and Japanese green tea. And this is from the Fujian province. And this is made from the top 2 leaves and a bud of new season tea, and is processed exclusively by hand. And it's called White Monkey because the leaves look like monkey paws. And this also is called Sweet and Light, and it also says it can be reinfused. So that makes me happy. I get to use it again. I'm really interested in trying these two because they are both green teas, but one is a Japanese, which is this one, and this one is a Chinese green tea. And I have to be honest with you, I drink a lot of tea, but I don't know much about tea. Rather like wine or gin. I drink those and I don't know much about them. And I'm just going to Pecco Tea and hearing him talk about all the different teas they had, and honestly he told me so many things, and I can't remember them. He was so detailed, he was incredibly knowledgeable, and it's made me kind of think, this is something I drink a lot. I really don't know much about the history of tea, considering how much I drink it. So I've been having a look on Amazon and see if I can download a book to my Kindle about the history of tea. If you have any recommendations, please let me know. I'm just really curious about, you know, the differences and where it all came from and why it's become such an incredibly popular drink. I mean, apart from the fact that it's delicious, that's a given. While I was there, I also picked up this little tea infuser, because often I don't have time to use my teapot. And, you know, I don't have time to drink loads and loads. So this little one-off, I just think it looks like some little alien, like weird sneaky things in Prometheus. That's what I think this looks like. But I am assured it is for tea and is not going to, you know, try and kill me. After we went to Pecco Tea, which, as you can tell, was a fantastic experience, and I would go again in a heartbeat. They do sell online, so I will link to them in the show notes. I'm just a bit gutted that I can't go in there and chat to him again, which is a shame. But after that, we went to the Scotch Whisky Experience. Rich is an incredibly big fan of whiskey. He loves it. I'm not a fan. It's a bit strong for me. But, you know, even though this was my birthday trip, it seemed a bit unfair to do everything that I wanted to do. So we went there, and he was going to treat himself to some whiskey, and the guy in the shop said, oh, you can try any of these downstairs. And we actually spent an hour in the bar. The guy behind the bar, Caleb, was, again, we've come across so many people who are very specialist and incredibly passionate about what they do, which is fantastic. And he was talking to us about all the different whiskies. I put a picture up on my Instagram, and there was literally just a wall of different kinds of whiskey, and I was quite surprised by how many different colours there were. They were ranging from really, really pale to quite ruby and dark. And he did recommend one for me. I can't remember what it was. I think it was a sherry cask whiskey, and it was quite nice. I preferred it watered down, but it was quite tasty. And Rich tried a couple, and then from there knew which whiskey he was going to buy. But it was just really interesting because even the ones we didn't try, Caleb would get some down and just kind of wet the rim of a glass so you could smell it, and there were quite a few that were over 20 years old, I think. I think there was one that was about 45 years old, which was incredibly smoky. I couldn't believe how smoky it smelt. So yeah, that was weirdly interesting, considering that I have no interest whatsoever in whiskey. We then went just across the road to the Scottish weaving experience. There was a random armoury bit which was kind of dorky cool. It was. There were lots of replica swords from different time periods. So I think they had Henry V, they had samurai swords, but then they had, you know, the Lord of the Rings swords, they had Longclaw from Game of Thrones, Widow's Wail, they had some Legend of Zelda swords, which were really cool. They had bow and arrow, they had these amazing chess sets. It was really cool. I mean, I'm a massive dork and that kind of stuff really appeals to me. And if I hadn't had to fly home, I probably would have bought myself a wooden sword just so I could pretend to be Brienne of Tarth or something. And of course I had to try on a helmet. I got to try on a Greek warrior's helmet. Not entirely sure how they managed to fight in them because I don't know, maybe it's because I've got a small head, but I had no peripheral vision, and you know, then the whole thing sank down over my eyes.
Doesn't quite fit, does it?
And it was really echoey, so I just think if you got clumped on the head while you had that on, you know, you'd be out, you'd be done. You know, you'd have a migraine for days. But then in the same area, they had loads of stuff about Scottish heritage, so you could find your crest and your motto. There were some strange mottos, I have to say. There was one that was "Touch not this cat," which I thought a bit odd, but it must mean something else, I don't know. And then we went all the way down and saw the weaving happening, which was really cool, and some of the tweeds and the cashmeres that were there were stunning. Between the tweeds and the cashmeres, if I could sew, I would in a heartbeat have brought some fabric and made myself the most chic and stunning coat you can imagine. I've never seen real Harris tweed, and it was just beautiful. Really, it was toothy, and the colours, it was just amazing. No wonder people rave about it. It was incredible. And then we came home, and I have to admit that I packed my bag and I planned my outfit because I was so excited, because the next day was Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Before I go into Edinburgh Yarn Festival itself, I first of all have to say a massive thank you to the lovely ladies who came up and said hello to me. I have to admit it was a bit strange because obviously that's never happened to me before, and yeah, sometimes when you're just talking to the camera you do wonder how many people are actually watching. And I've talked to you online, you've commented on the videos, and we chat in the forum, but it's completely different to meet you in real life, and I just want to say thank you. I have been to one or two Yarny events before, and I've always been kind of in my own little bubble. I've talked to the stall holders, I may have had a fleeting conversation with some other people who were there, but mostly it's just been me. And you guys who came up and said hello to me, you made my festival, you made it brilliant, you made me feel like I was part of this tribe, and I cannot thank you enough for that. Thank you. I have started a thread on the Tea and Possibilities group about Edinburgh Yarn Festival. If you came and spoke to me, please let me know in that thread, because I would love to stay in touch. And if you didn't spot me, if you went on the Saturday instead of the Friday, please do let me know what you got up to. I want to see your purchases. I want to see what you got. I am incredibly nosy when it comes to yarn, so please do share. But now it's time, guys, for my Edinburgh Yarn Fest haul. This was my first purchase. I picked up this fantastic knitty dorky bag from the Knitting Goddess. It says, "May the yarn be with you." And I bought this because there was not enough room in my backpack to carry the yarn that I was intending to buy. And I was really sad that I actually missed out on getting the official Edinburgh Yarn Festival canvas bag. Completely understand why they sold out immediately, but I was a bit gutted. We got in at about 11ish. We were queuing from about 10:30. I think, well no, Rich was quite shocked by the length of the queue when we got there and when we left, because he's aware that there are a lot of knitters, but I don't think he was aware of how many knitters there were with a capital K. So I think he was just a bit flummoxed by that. As I said on the previous podcast, my quest was to find my fade, and it was going to be a Harry Potter fade. And I know I'd mentioned that I was really into the idea of creating Slughorn's first potions lesson. But when I went through the chapter and I jotted it all down, the colours weren't really singing to me, and I just kept coming back to Hogwarts and its houses. So I thought, yeah, let's do that. It covers everything. If I have some great ideas for another Find Your Fade later, brilliant. But let's go with this one. So that's what I did. And I have to give a shout out to Rich for being a fantastic partner in crime. As I said to the ladies that I met, he spotted most of these colours. I think I was just overcome by yarn fumes, and I was just like, so much yarn, and he was just there laser focused, that colour, that colour. So yeah, a lot of these he actually spotted. My very first purchase was this. Isn't that the most perfect Hufflepuff you've ever seen? This is Fiberspate's Sport Superwash Scrumptious. It's 45% silk and 55% superwash merino. It's a slightly heavier fingering weight than the other ones I bought, but I don't mind that at all. I think it's luscious and beautiful and just golden and gorgeous. I can't get over how just stunning this is. I love it so much, and it's perfect, perfect, perfect. And Rich was the one that spotted it. This was his first amazing spot. Yeah, I just love this. So this little beauty was the first one into my bag. Next up, we hit Old Maiden Aunt. I got the Fiberspates skein at Pearlescence, so we were not far from Old Maiden Aunt, and some lovely ladies in the queue for tea and coffee did tell me that she was running fairly low. And as we approached, we saw this skein. Rich actually spotted it again. Like, get yourself a Rich when you're going to a fibre festival, really. And he pointed it out, and he was like, Nikki, that is Albus Dumbledore. It's glittery, it's Hogwarts, go. So, I'm not a particularly aggressive person, so I was doing my little, you know, shimmy, 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 shimmy around all the people. When I got to the bit it was on, and there was a woman next to me, and I was kind of like, I'd have to reach across her to get to it, and I was just a bit like, oh, I just need her to move a little bit. And then she was kind of working her way up the yarns that were hanging there, and I thought, no, she's going to spot it, she's going to get it. So I just went, oh, could you just excuse me, I just need to grab that. And I grabbed the last skein. I don't know if she restocked with this colour the next day, but this was the last skein. And this is Old Maiden Aunt. It's 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 5% sparkle 4-ply in her Bluebells colourway. And it is Albus Dumbledore. It is. It's just perfect. So that's going to be for the Hogwarts itself, the crest. So that was the second little beauty that made its way into my bag. Next up, we spotted Slytherin, and I found this at the Travel Knitter booth. I've never seen any Travel Knitter before, and I was overjoyed to discover that they are based in Walthamstow, which is not quite my side of London, but is in London, which is great. It's good to know that one of my purchases supported a local dyer. This is their BFL Super Sock. It's 75% superwash Blueface Leicester, 25% nylon, and it is in their Jazz Age colourway. And compared to the other two, this is a little bit toothier. And again, I love that. It's Slytherin, so having that slight toothiness is quite nice. And I really like the fact that this is not going to be samey all the way through. It's going to be different textures, and it's just going to be lovely. And that's just the most perfect Slytherin grass green. Next up, we checked out Martin's Lab, and at this point I was looking for Ravenclaw and Gryffindor. And I was kind of looking out for Ravenclaw first and foremost, and we'd spotted a couple at the John Arbon store which were good, and I might have gone back for, but were not quite right. And then I spotted this blue, or Rich did. It was probably Rich, let's face it. And I spotted this blue at Martin's Lab, and it was insane there. He was tucked away in a corner, so there wasn't much room, and his stuff is amazing. I've never seen it before, but his stuff is amazing. So I cannot you know, I'm not at all surprised that he was just mobbed. And I got squeezed in and I got it, and I was about to approach the lady to pay when I realised that it was a DK weight. And they did have it in sock weight, and it was Tweedy. This is their Tweed Merino, 85% merino, 15% viscose base in the Admiral colourway. And if tweed isn't absolutely perfect for Ravenclaw, I don't know what is. I don't know. This is the most perfect, beautiful blue. I love it to bits. And the tweed just adds to that little bit of character for the Ravenclaw. Like, you know, the super softness of the Hufflepuff. I really love that. This is a new to me dyer. I'm totally in love. I will definitely be buying more from Martin's Lab. I was then only looking out for Gryffindor. That's all I had to find. And we were wandering round and round. And Rich, of course, spotted it. He just pointed and he went, that is it. That is Gryffindor. We hadn't been looking for a super scarlet. We hadn't been looking for like a burgundy. We'd been looking for something in between. And we found it. This is another new to me dyer. It's Ripples Crafts, and it's their hand-dyed yarn 4-ply Swilven. I'm probably completely mispronouncing that, but it's in their ripe rowan berry, and this is perfect. This is Gryffindor all over. It's not too dark, it's not too bright, and I love it. I'm so happy. So there we go, guys. This is my fade. We have got Hogwarts and Ravenclaw and Slytherin and Hufflepuff and Gryffindor. And it's not going to be chic and subtle at all. It might be from here, but from there on, nah. I've seen some beautiful fades that really do fade through various colours. But I just want a Harry Potter one. I just want to wrap myself up in beautiful colour with lots of textures and all different brands, which I'm really, really happy about. I can't wait to cast this on. I am beyond excited. I did go to the Podcaster Lounge, but I just wanted to tell you about my final purchase, which I made when I popped back into the marketplace after going to Podcaster Lounge. I had seen somebody had bought this. I'd been kind of umming and ahhing about getting it, and then I thought, nope, I'm just going to go and get it. It's my birthday present to myself. And it is this beautiful locket from La Bien-Amie. It is so lovely. I went for the yellow enamel finish because I love yellow. And what it is, it's glass on both sides. So I'll show you, that's the yellow side, and that's the plain side. So it's glass, not plastic, which is lovely, and it just opens up, which I won't do now because I'm bound to drop them everywhere, and it's full of tiny stitch markers. I say tiny, there are some that are smaller than others, which is really handy, and there are some gold and some silver and some brass finish ones, and it's lovely. This was not something I needed at all, but I'm so glad to have it. I really like tactile jewellery. I like things that I can play with, that I can rattle about with, and it's useful, which I love. And you probably can't see, but it hangs just on my solar plexus. I love long necklaces. I am beyond happy with it, so I'm really, really glad that I popped back and had a look. But now let's talk about the Podcaster Lounge. I was not intending to go. I'm quite shy, and I'd already spoken to a few people who had seen the podcast, and I thought, well, there's not going to be any more. And I just felt, because I haven't been doing this podcast for very long, I felt a little bit of a fraud, that maybe I didn't belong in the Podcaster Lounge. But Claire from the Beautiful Things podcast had messaged me on Instagram and said, you know, do come along, it'd be really lovely to see you. And I said to Rich, do you think I should? And he was like, look, I definitely think you should, because you are going to regret it if you don't. So off we went. And I was so glad I did. So glad. Again, I met some more lovely, lovely ladies who have seen the podcast. There was somebody who showed me the most beautiful gradient. It was so beautiful. I nearly went back and bought one myself and was like, no, I don't have a project in mind for it. So I just wrote down the name of the stall for future reference. And first of all, I met lovely Helen of Curious Handmade, who I've met a few other times, so it was quite strange that she recognised me. I was a little bit like, Helen of Curious Handmade knows who I am, which, you know, starstruck. And then I got chatting to the lovely Katie of Inside Number 23. Hello Katie, who recognised me, and I was a bit like, you know who I am? Because as we all know, Katie is amazing and is like a superstar of the knitting podcast world. So that was a little bit of a moment, and we talked dogs and yarn and Harry Potter, and hopefully we're going to have a bit of a knitting date soon. That'd be really lovely. And then I met lovely Claire of the Beautiful Things podcast. Thank you, Claire, for encouraging me to go, because I was being a bit silly and too shy. So thank you for that. And I have to show you the beautiful present that she made for me. It was so sweet. There we go. I'm just going to hold it up so you can see it. So it's this little booklet, and it's got her little label here, Beautiful Things. And this here, which you probably can't see, but it's a teeny tiny progress keeper. Let me see if I can hold it up. And it's a little teapot, and I love that. That's just so fun. And when you open up the little book, it is fully stocked inside with tea. She'd mentioned that rhubarb tea might be one I'd like to try. So she's included some Taylors of Harrogate sweet rhubarb. I have had a couple of Taylors of Harrogate and it's delicious, so I need to get some more of that. I need to get on their website. And then here she's included Twinings Fudge Melts Green Tea. And this one is a Cherry Bakewell green tea. So these are completely new to me. I've never tried them before. I love green tea, so I'm looking forward to that. And I'm very curious about the rhubarb tea. I've said before that I'm looking to expand my range, but obviously you don't want to end up with 10 boxes of things you don't like. So this was such a kind and thoughtful gift, and thank you so much, Claire. That was really lovely of you. So yeah, that was my time in Edinburgh Yarn Festival. It was insane. I was boiling. Oh my goodness. I really want to come next year, and I'm telling you now that next year, I don't care what the weather is doing, I am definitely dressing for summer. I will take a big coat with me if I have to, but I am dressing for summer and dumping that coat as soon as I arrive, because boy, I thought, oh, I will wear my hat and my scarf because it's a knitting festival. I'll wear my wool like coat cardigan thing with my yarn badge, and why? I was so hot. So hot. I mean, it was flip-flop weather in there. So yeah, I was quite grateful that it was quite cold when I left, because I was just like, oh, I need air. I had the most fantastic time at Edinburgh Yarn Festival. It was just, honestly, when we left, we went out for dinner that night at the Dogs restaurant, and then we checked out Gin 71. We had been recommended Heads and Tails, but unfortunately they were completely full. So the lovely guy on the door was like, hey, try Gin 71, which was amazing. And you can taste all these different gins. Yeah, if you like gins, if you're interested in different flavours, I absolutely recommend it. I am a big gin fan, and it was beautiful, so good. And honestly, I sat there talking to Rich about, you know, the day I'd had, and I said, I love my friends dearly. I have the best bunch of friends in the world, but unfortunately none of them are knitters. So a lot of my crazy they don't quite get. And today I felt like I met people that got it, that really understood, you know, the desire to swish yarn and talk about fibres and colours and blends, and I just felt for the first time that, yeah, there were actual real people outside of my computer who got it, and that was just an amazing feeling. And I absolutely, yeah, I just felt I haven't been that happy in an incredibly long time. I've said before 2016 was pretty rubbish, and honestly I feel like I hit peak happiness on Friday. Peak happiness. On Saturday, we did not go back to the festival. I had bought everything I needed to. I was done. I kind of regret not picking up a skein of Daughter of a Shepherd. I went and squished them all, but didn't really have a project in mind for them, so I didn't want to get them, and then woke up on Saturday morning thinking, I could have got one for the barbel hat. Yeah, I could have got that and had the actual sheep as real undyed sheepy wool. But hey, I'll remember that next time when I'm ready to cast on the barbel hat. Other favourites were Triskelion yarns. I really love checking out the pom-pom store and checking out their latest designs. Seeing them in person is amazing, and I definitely want to cast on at least 2 of them in the near future, so that's very exciting. I bumped into some amazing people who were wearing amazing patterns, so I've jotted them down so they're making their way into my Ravelry queue as well. But I think Rich was pretty much all yarned out after Friday, and I have to admit that I was looking forward to getting away from the crowds on Saturday, so we decided to climb Arthur's Seat. And I had on a t-shirt and I had on my North Face coat, but let me tell you, I got halfway up and I was boiling. It was so hot. So I took my coat off, tied it around my waist, and just carried on chugging away up that hill. I brought wellies. Because I thought if it rained that would be the best thing to do, and I only had my Vans, and I thought, well, I can't climb Arthur's Seat in those, so I wore wellies. Don't try and climb Arthur's Seat in wellies. You will A, boil to death, and B, you will slip and slide around. You will not be a mountain goat. You will not be leaping from stone to stone. You will slither back down Arthur's Seat. So you have been warned. Don't wear wellies. Do as I say, not as I do. We got up to the top and we sat and had a lovely picnic. We had sandwiches. I actually thought it was harder work coming down. It's a lot steeper coming down than you realise going up. I didn't boil coming down, but I certainly kind of, slipped about quite a lot. And as we have established, I am clumsy. So what I need to get is some actual proper walking boots so that I will not break anything. I haven't broken anything this time, but there are a couple of near misses, I'm not going to lie. We went and got a drink afterwards and popped into Patisserie Valerie because I frankly earned I'd earned that little bit of carrot cake, and that was really fun. I just had a lovely day yesterday and I still felt peak happiness because I'd met these incredible people the day before and I was spending the day with an amazing person. Rich was incredibly patient on Friday. He didn't just trail around after me, he got involved, he got chatting to people, he bought into the whole buying of Harry Potter yarn, so I couldn't ask for anything more really. Today, as soon as I'm finished here, we will be throwing on our trainers and heading out to the Royal Botanic Gardens. I'm really excited. I love them. I love the ones at Kew, so I'm really excited to check out the ones here. I bet they will be just beautiful. And then we'll be coming back to pack and leave quite early tomorrow. This podcast will probably be going out a little bit later because I'm hoping to include lots and lots of the filming that we did around and about in Edinburgh. I hope you have enjoyed this special Edinburgh edition of the Tea and Possibilities podcast. I am really going to miss podcasting the next 2 weeks and I'm so looking forward to coming back, hopefully with a few finished objects and some new cast-ons. Definitely, actually. I've just bought a load of new yarn, of course, I'm going to be able to show you some new stuff. In the meantime, I hope you have a fantastic end of March and I will see you again in very, very early April. But in the meantime, take care of yourself, have a lovely couple of weeks, and I'll see you again for another cup of tea very soon. Take care, bye.